Working the night shift can be peaceful, but it can also be a nightmare. When the world goes quiet, when everyone else is asleep, that's when things you can't explain begin to happen. Tonight, we'll hear 3 true stories from people who worked the night shift and what they experienced when the lights went out. These are 3 true scary stories from night shift workers. Story 1. The Visitor at 3 a.m. Setting: 24-hour gas station, Arizona, 2017. I used to work the night shift at a small gas station just off the interstate outside of Flagstaff, Arizona. It wasn't a bad job. Boring most nights, sure, but quiet. The pay was decent, and the manager didn't really bother me as long as the registers balanced and the shelves were stocked. My shift ran from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. 8 hours of silence, neon lights, and the faint hum of the soda refrigerator. You'd be surprised how lonely a gas station feels at night. The desert around Flagstaff is wide and empty, just miles of flat land and darkness. When the wind picks up, it howls through the cracks in the glass doors. Sometimes you'd hear the tin roof creak, like the building itself was exhaling. I got used to it. I brought coffee, some snacks, and a Bluetooth speaker to play old music from my phone. The occasional trucker would come in to grab coffee or cigarettes, sometimes a cop doing rounds. But after 2 a.m., the world just stopped. That night, the night I still think about, was in mid-November 2017. It was cold outside, the kind of dry Arizona cold that burns your lungs when you breathe too deep. The roads were nearly empty because of a dust storm warning that evening. Around 3 a.m., I was restocking a rack of chips when I felt this weird pressure. You know that feeling when someone's looking at you? Like your brain just knows you're being watched? I looked up at the big glass windows facing the parking lot, but all I saw was my own reflection. My face looked pale under the harsh lights, and the empty road behind me was just a black smear through the glass. I shrugged it off and went back to stacking Doritos. Then I glanced at the security monitors above the counter. The cameras showed the lot outside, the pumps, and the aisles inside the store. On the pump for camera, I saw a man. He was standing perfectly still. Not pumping gas, not walking, just standing there, staring straight at the building. I remember he was tall and thin, wearing what looked like a dark hoodie and jeans. His hands hung loosely at his sides, and his face, I couldn't really see it. The camera's night vision made everything this pale green, and his face was just a blur of white pixels. I watched him for maybe 20 seconds. He didn't move. Finally, I decided to step outside and check. I pushed through the glass doors. The chime above the entrance rang softly, and the cold air hit me like a wall. "Hey!" I called out, my voice echoing in the empty lot. Nothing. Pump 4 was empty. The only sound was the hum of the sign lights and the wind scraping sand across the asphalt. I walked around the pumps, looked down both sides of the lot. No cars, no people, nothing. For a moment, I just stood there, feeling that weird heaviness again, like the night was holding its breath. Then I went back inside. When I looked up at the monitors again, my stomach dropped. The man was still there on the screen, standing in the same spot at pump 4. Only now, the angle of his head had changed. He was looking directly at the camera. My heart started pounding. I looked out the window again. Still nothing outside, just darkness. But on the camera feed, he was there, still, watching. I felt frozen. I didn't know if I should call the police or my manager or just leave. My brain couldn't process it. Then, as I stared, the man on the screen began to smile. It wasn't a big grin, just a slow, deliberate curl of his mouth. The feed flickered once, then again, and suddenly all the monitors went black. The lights in the store flickered too, buzzing like angry hornets. I could hear the soda fridge clicking off and on. The sound of the wind outside grew louder, almost like it was pressing against the windows. I stood behind the counter, gripping the edge so hard my knuckles turned white. For maybe 30 seconds, everything was dead silent. Then the monitors came back. All feeds were normal again. Pump 4 was empty. I rewound the footage a bit, trying to see if it caught anything before the blackout. But when I scrolled back, the recording for the last 5 minutes was just static. Like the cameras had stopped working altogether. I didn't sleep the next day. I didn't even go home right after my shift. I just sat in my car in the parking lot until the sun came up. When my manager, Rick, showed up at 6 a.m., I told him what happened. He looked at me for a long time before saying anything. "You saw him too?" That's when I realized this wasn't the first time. Rick went to the back office and came out with a small external hard drive. He plugged it into the main monitor and opened a folder labeled Pump for Incidents. Inside were video clips, dozens of them, all short, maybe 20 seconds each. Every clip showed the same thing: a man standing at Pump 4. Sometimes the footage was months apart. Different seasons, different weather, but always around the same time, between 2:50 and 3:10 a.m. And always the same man, tall, still, staring. "We stopped reporting it a while ago," Rick said quietly. "Cops came a few times, never found anyone. Cameras always cut out right after he shows up." I could hear the tremor in his voice. This was a man who'd been working nights for over 20 years, not someone easily spooked. He said the first sighting happened around 2009, before they even installed digital cameras. Back then, it showed up on old tape footage, grainy and warped. One night, a cashier named Laura quit mid-shift. Rick said she'd gone outside to smoke a cigarette and came running back in minutes later, pale as a ghost, screaming that someone had whispered her name from the pump area. The next morning, the cameras showed nothing but static from 2:59 to 3:04 a.m. She never came back. After that, Rick started locking the doors between 2 and 4 a.m. and serving customers through the night window. But the figure still appeared on camera sometimes. "Never saw him with my own eyes," he said. "Just on the screens. Always there, but not really there." He laughed nervously and tried to brush it off, but I could tell it still haunted him. I told him I wanted to see the footage again, maybe analyze it frame by frame. So that night, I came in early, around 9:30, and set up my laptop beside the register. I loaded one of the oldest clips, dated March 14th, 2010. The quality was awful, washed out, jumpy, but I could still make out the man's shape. He stood in the same position I saw, facing the building. But this time, when I paused the frame and brightened it slightly, I noticed something. There was a reflection in the glass door behind him. The reflection showed his front side, and his face wasn't right. It looked stretched, like his mouth was too wide, his eyes too far apart. I tried to convince myself it was just the video artifacting, but then I checked another clip from 2014 and saw the same warped features. The same impossible smile. I couldn't finish my shift that night. I told Rick I was done working nights, and after a few more weeks, I quit altogether. But the story doesn't end there. 2 months after I left, I got a message from one of my coworkers, Tanya, who'd taken over my shift. She asked if I'd been pranking her. Apparently, the first week she started, around 3 a.m., someone kept calling the station phone. But when she answered, all she heard was faint static and what sounded like a man laughing softly. When she checked the caller ID, it showed the number as Pump 4. I swear to God that's true. She quit 2 days later. I still think about that place sometimes. Whenever I drive past Flagstaff on my way to visit family, I see the faded glow of that gas station sign in the distance. Still open, still running 24 hours. And sometimes when I check the online traffic camera feed for that stretch of highway, just out of morbid curiosity, I swear I can still see him, standing there by Pump 4, waiting, watching, smiling. They say cameras capture what the human eye can't see. But maybe some things aren't meant to be seen at all. Story 2, The Elevator. Setting, Hospital Night Shift, Illinois, 2014. I worked as a night shift nurse at a small hospital in southern Illinois. It wasn't a big place. 3 floors, 1 small basement level used mostly for storage, and maybe 50 staff total. Most of the nurses, including me, were assigned to the overnight rotation because we didn't mind the quiet. Back then, I was 27, single, and used to strange hours. I actually liked the peace of the night shift. No visitors crowding the hallways, no doctors rushing around barking orders. Just the soft hum of machines, the occasional beep of a monitor, and the low murmur of late-night TV from a patient's room. But there's something about hospitals after midnight that you never really get used to. The air feels different, thicker. Sometimes, you swear you can hear footsteps in empty halls or catch whispers from rooms that were just cleaned out. Every nurse I knew had at least one story they didn't like to talk about. Mine happened on a cold night in February 2014. I remember because there was a snowstorm outside. Thick flakes piling up against the glass doors. The parking lot covered in white. The world outside was silent, just the low whine of wind. Around 2:45 a.m., I was restocking supplies on the 3rd floor, near the north elevator. I'd done this routine hundreds of times. Grab bandages, saline bags, gloves, refill the drawers, and I'd always leave the cart right by the elevator doors. That night, I heard the elevator ding. The doors slid open, but there was no one inside. At first, I didn't think much of it. Elevators in old buildings do weird things sometimes. Ghost calls, misfires, random stops. But this one stopped on the basement level, and no one was supposed to be there that night. The basement was mostly for maintenance and record storage, and after 10 p.m., it was always locked. Still, the panel light above the elevator clearly said B. The doors stayed open a little too long, the way they do when someone's supposed to get in. The overhead light inside flickered faintly. I got this uneasy feeling in my chest, like something invisible was waiting. The hallway behind me was silent, except for the faint buzz of the vending machine. I don't know why, but I called out, "Hello? Anyone there?" No answer. I decided to just ignore it. I went back to refilling the supply drawers. Then I heard it again. The ding. The doors opened. Same elevator. Still empty. But this time, the light inside flickered twice before stabilizing. And when I looked at the floor indicator, it wasn't showing any number. Just a blank red line, glowing softly. I stepped closer, curiosity overtaking my nerves. Inside, the air felt colder. Not just from the AC, it was the kind of cold that prickles your skin. I leaned in a little to check if something was stuck in the doorway sensors. Then I heard it, a whisper. My name, faint, right behind me. I turned around so fast I nearly dropped the supply list. The hallway was empty. The doors began to close slowly, and before I could stop myself, I stepped into the elevator. The second the doors sealed shut, the lights flickered and went out. Pitch black. I hit the door open button, but it didn't respond. None of the buttons lit up. The only sound was the faint hum of the motor somewhere far below me, and my own heartbeat. Then, in the darkness, I heard breathing. Slow, steady, not mine. I froze. My mind was racing. Was someone else in here? Maybe security? Maybe a patient got lost? But I hadn't heard anyone step in. I whispered, "Who's there?" No response. The breathing grew louder, closer. I pressed every button I could feel, desperate to make the elevator move. Nothing worked. Then a voice, soft and close to my ear, said, "You shouldn't be here." I screamed and slammed my hand against the door. The elevator jolted suddenly, like it had been yanked by something unseen, then began to move. When the lights came back on, the elevator stopped on the 1st floor. The doors slid open with a cheerful ding. The hallway was empty. I stumbled out, gasping for air, my hands shaking. The panel behind me still showed the basement button glowing red. I went straight to the nurse's station, where my coworker Jess looked up, startled. "You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." I didn't even know how to explain it. I just said something was wrong with the elevator. She radioed security, who checked the basement a few minutes later. No one was there. But here's the part that really messed with me. When maintenance reviewed the security footage the next day, they found something on the camera outside the elevator. Around 2:47 a.m., the exact time I was trapped inside, the hallway camera showed me stepping into the elevator. But I wasn't alone. Right before the doors closed, a tall, dark shape appeared in the doorway behind me. It looked human, but its proportions were wrong. Too tall, too thin, with its head tilted unnaturally to the side. It never triggered the motion sensors. It just stood there for a moment after the doors closed, then faded out of frame. The security guard said it might have been a camera glitch, but I've watched that clip myself, and I swear, just before it disappears, you can see its arm move, like it's waving. I tried to brush it off. I really did. Hospitals mess with your mind. You're surrounded by sickness and death all the time. You start to imagine things. But 2 nights later, something else happened. I was assigned to room 312, a long-term patient ward for the elderly. Around 3 a.m., one of the call lights went off from a room at the end of the hall. When I got there, the patient, an older woman named Mrs. Edwards, was sitting upright in bed, wide-eyed. She pointed toward the corner of the room and whispered, "He was standing there." I asked her who she meant. "The tall man," she said. "He came out of the elevator." My blood went cold. I tried to calm her down, checked her vitals, gave her some water, but she kept staring at that corner, trembling. Later, when I reviewed the hallway camera outside her room, I saw the elevator doors open at 3:01 a.m. No one came out, but the doors stayed open for exactly 47 seconds before closing again. That night, I didn't go near that elevator. I used the stairs for the rest of my shift. A week later, we had a power inspection that required shutting down part of the electrical grid, including the elevator system. When the techs opened the control panel in the basement, they found something strange inside the elevator shaft. Old claw marks, deep grooves in the metal walls, like someone had tried to pry the doors open from inside. But the strangest thing? The scratches were on the outside of the elevator car, near the bottom, as if someone or something had been trying to get in. The maintenance report said it was probably damage from an old construction accident, but the oldest blueprints showed that section had never been replaced. Those marks had been there since the hospital was built in 1978. There were rumors after that. Some staff said the hospital was built over an old coal mine where workers had died in a cave-in decades before. Others claimed a maintenance worker fell down the elevator shaft years ago and was never recovered. The official story? Nothing ever happened. Just equipment issues. But nurses talk, and every few years, someone new reports hearing whispers in the elevator. Always around 2:45 or 3 a.m. Always the same words. "You shouldn't be here." I quit the hospital the following spring. I couldn't take night shifts anymore. I transferred to a private clinic, bright lights, daytime hours, no elevators. But even now, years later, I still avoid elevators when I'm alone. Because sometimes, when I'm standing inside one and the doors start to close, I swear I can hear breathing behind me. And just for a second, before the doors seal shut, I see a thin shadow reflected in the metal, head tilted, smiling. Story 3, The Final Call. Setting, late night security guard, office building, Seattle, 2021. I worked as a night security guard in a downtown Seattle office building during the pandemic. The building was 32 stories tall, modern, glass everywhere, steel frames, spotless marble lobby. Before 2020, it was full of life. Dozens of offices, small startups, and law firms. But once the lockdown started, everyone went remote. By the time I took the job in late 2021, the place felt abandoned. My shifts ran from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. It was quiet work. Mostly I just made rounds every hour, checked cameras, signed maintenance logs. The only other people around were 2 janitors who stayed on the lower floors. I almost never saw them. At night, the whole building would go dark except for the emergency lighting and a few hallway lamps that never turned off. The silence was heavy, the kind that rings in your ears. I'd sit at the front desk in the lobby, listening to the hum of the ventilation system and the occasional groan of pipes. After a few weeks, I stopped noticing those sounds. They became part of the background. Until one night, something new broke the silence. Around midnight, the lobby phone rang. I froze for a moment. Hardly anyone ever called that line. It was usually for internal use or emergencies. I picked up. "Security desk. This is Mark." Nothing. Just static. I listened carefully. Underneath the crackling noise, there was something else. Faint breathing. Slow, steady, almost deliberate. "Hello," I said again. "Who's there?" The breathing continued for a few seconds. Then the line went dead. I hung up, shook it off, and checked the caller ID log. The display read, 7th floor. I frowned. The 7th floor was completely empty. Had been since the marketing firm that rented it moved out in 2020. I'd been up there dozens of times. No lights, no furniture, nothing but dusty carpet and unplugged phones. I figured maybe it was a glitch, or one of the janitors accidentally bumped a handset somewhere. But 10 minutes later, the phone rang again. Same line, same caller ID, 7th floor. This time, when I answered, I heard a voice. A woman's voice, whispering, "Help me." It was faint, shaky, and cut off by static. "Who is this?" I asked. "Where are you calling from?" There was no answer, just another long breath, and then the click of the line going dead. My stomach dropped. I tried calling back using the internal phone system. No response. The line wouldn't even ring. The rational part of me said it was probably a system malfunction. The phone lines in the building were old. Maybe some leftover wiring still connected the 7th floor circuit. But something in that voice didn't sound like interference. Sounded real. Against my better judgment, I decided to check it out. I grabbed my flashlight, clipped my radio to my belt, and headed toward the elevator. The ride up was silent except for the hum of the motor. The light above the door flickered occasionally as we passed each floor, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the soft chime of 7. The doors slid open. The entire floor was dark. My flashlight beam cut through the darkness, bouncing off bare walls and empty cubicles. The air was cold, stale, like the place hadn't been touched in years. I called out, "Security! Hello? Anyone here?" My voice echoed down the hall and came back to me distorted. I walked past the reception desk. Dust covered everything. There was a faint smell of mold and cleaning chemicals. That's when I heard it. A phone ringing, somewhere deeper inside the floor. 3 short rings, then silence. I followed the sound down the main hallway toward the corner offices. Each step made the old carpet crunch slightly beneath my boots. My flashlight flickered once, just for a moment, enough to make my heart skip. When I turned the last corner, I saw a faint light coming from one of the rooms. The door was half open. I pushed it slowly and shone my light inside. The office was empty except for a single desk pushed up against the window. On the desk sat an old landline phone, off the hook. The receiver dangled by its cord, swaying slightly like someone had just let go of it. I felt my throat tighten. I stepped closer, leaned down, and lifted the receiver to my ear. Static. Then, faintly, "He's behind you." My blood ran cold. I spun around, flashlight shaking in my hand, but there was nothing there. The office was empty. The hallway behind me was pitch black. I backed away slowly, keeping the light aimed at the doorway. My breath came fast and shallow. Then I noticed something. The air felt charged, like static electricity before a storm. My arm hairs were standing on end. I turned back toward the phone, and for a split second, I saw something reflected in the window behind the desk. A dark silhouette, tall, thin, standing just a few feet behind me. I whipped around again, but it was gone. The light from my flashlight flickered twice, then went completely out. I don't remember running, but suddenly I was in the elevator, slamming the lobby button over and over. The doors closed slowly, too slowly, and as they shut, I caught a glimpse of something in the reflection of the stainless steel panel. A shape standing in the hallway, watching me, head tilted to the side. Still, the elevator dropped to the lobby, and when the doors opened, I ran straight to the security desk. I locked the front doors, even though it made no sense. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely hold the radio. "Base to janitorial," I said. "Are either of you on 7? A crackle of static, then a voice. "Negative. We've been on the 2nd floor all night." I didn't tell them what happened. I didn't want to sound insane. For the rest of the shift, I stared at the security monitors, trying to convince myself I imagined everything. But around 3:10 a.m., the lobby phone rang again. I stared at the screen. Caller ID, 7th floor. I didn't answer. It rang 6 times, then stopped. When I checked the call log on the phone system later that morning, there was no record of any incoming call from that line. Nothing. I reported the incident to my supervisor, who said he'd have IT check the wiring. He probably thought I was just bored and jumpy from isolation. But 2 days later, something even stranger happened. I was doing a routine camera check when I noticed something odd on the 7th floor feed. The lights on that floor were off, as always, but one of the cameras in the east corridor showed motion. I zoomed in. The timestamp read 12:04 a.m. The footage showed the office where I'd found the phone. The desk was still there. The phone was still off the hook. And standing next to it was a woman. She looked like she was wearing office clothes. A white blouse, dark skirt. Her head tilted down as if she were crying. I froze the footage, rewound it, and played it again. But when I played the same clip a second time, she wasn't there. Just the empty room. No motion detected. Nothing but static for the next 2 hours. I saved the clip onto a flash drive, thinking maybe I could show it to my boss. But when I tried to open the file later that day, it was corrupted. The thumbnail showed a single frame, a distorted image of the woman looking directly into the camera. Her mouth was open, but not in a scream. It looked like she was speaking, or maybe warning. After that night, I refused to patrol the 7th floor. My manager eventually reassigned me to a smaller property outside the city. I didn't argue. I've worked security for almost 10 years. I've dealt with addicts breaking in, vandals, power outages, even an earthquake once. But nothing ever got under my skin like that building. Sometimes, when I can't sleep, I still think about that voice. Help me. I even tried researching the tenants who used to rent the 7th floor. Turns out, one of the companies there, a PR firm, had an employee who went missing in 2019. Her name was Dana Wells. Her office number? 714. The same one where I found the phone. Police records said she stayed late one night and never clocked out. Security cameras stopped recording around midnight due to a system crash. They never found her. The case was closed the following year, unsolved. I haven't gone back to that building since. But out of morbid curiosity, I sometimes check its live feed online. One of those public security cams pointed at the lobby for remote tenants. And a few weeks ago, at exactly 3:02 a.m., the feed glitched for a single frame. Just one frame. The timestamp jumped. And in that single frame, the reflection in the elevator door behind the front desk showed a woman standing there, head tilted, holding a phone receiver, staring straight into the camera. Soft phone ringing fades in, then cuts to static. Some calls come from the living, some don't.